Emma sat quietly in the kitchen, the familiar aroma of coffee in the air, and memories of the past swarming in her head. She and Alex had once sat together in the other kitchen, thinking about the future. Now only their 6-year-old daughter reminded her of the time when they'd been in love, and everything had been fine, even though their daughter hadn't been there yet. Emma mentally went back to the time when her lover was around, and they decided to buy this apartment. That had been 8 years ago. They were sitting in their old kitchen, and it seemed to them that life was constantly throwing them unpleasant surprises. The mood was terrible. The landlady had announced a rent increase, even though they had only recently moved in. The kitchen was small, a reflection of the modest life they led, and it seemed that life was constantly challenging them, having to juggle a tight budget, enduring unexpected rent increases, and facing the uncertainty of having to live from paycheck to paycheck. The announcement of the rent increase took them by surprise. The landlady was friendly and smiling when announcing the news, but that didn't make it any easier to take. They understood inflation in the real estate market, but it didn't help them cope with the situation. At the time, Emma and Alex were a young couple who had been living together for 4 years in a civil partnership. They were moving from one rented apartment to another, having never bought their own place. Everything was fine until the constant fluctuations in rent prices began to wear them down. That evening, Alex slammed his hand firmly on the table. "We've had enough. Let's get our own apartment." The decision was unexpected, but it seemed simple at the time. They weren't going to break up, so why not take a step towards it? At the time, it never occurred to them that someday they would have to share an apartment, not just the two of them, but others as well. Life seemed full of promise then, and they believed that nothing could go wrong. They were so optimistic that they berated themselves for wasting 4 years of money on rented accommodation. They should have bought a house sooner. And yet everything seemed to be happening the way it should. They had saved enough money for a down payment. They each had a savings account where they put aside a portion of their paychecks. If there wasn't enough money, they took out a small loan to cover the difference. This made their dream more attainable. Before deciding to take this step, they seriously discussed their future. After much discussion, they decided not to register the apartment in both their names. Emma trusted Alex unconditionally, and the paperwork seemed unnecessary. Besides, Alex had contributed more financially to the purchase, which seemed to justify registering the apartment in his name only. At the time, they had not anticipated that this decision would cause any complications. Emma trusted Alex completely. Their relationship was solid, and they saw no need to formalize it. To them, they were already husband and wife. Alex registered the apartment in his name. It seemed logical at the time since he was contributing more financially. They both hated paperwork and considered it unnecessary. When they moved into their own place and paid off the loan, things got even better. When they found out Emma was pregnant, they decided to legalize their relationship. Although it made no difference to them, they wanted to make life easier for their child. They had a small wedding and shared the happy news with their families. However, not everyone was thrilled. Alex's mother, Patricia, was reluctant to accept Emma as her daughter-in-law. After the wedding, Patricia's disdain became even more apparent, leading to a strained relationship. Emma tried to be patient, but Patricia often made barbed remarks, criticizing everything from Emma's appearance to her position in society. Emma hoped that the birth of their daughter Lily would soften Patricia's attitude, but it only led to more complaints. Patricia accused Emma of being a burden to Alex, even though he continually assured Emma and others that he was proud to support his family. For Alex, providing for his wife and daughter was not an obligation, but a choice that reflected his deep love and desire for their happiness. He often spoke of how Emma's efforts to care for the house and raise Lily made his own life more fulfilling. Years passed, and the 2020 pandemic brought its own problems. Patricia, terrified of the virus, isolated herself in her apartment and refused visitors. But when Alex fell ill, she persisted, giving him unsolicited advice from afar, urging him not to go to the hospital. Unfortunately, Alex's condition deteriorated rapidly, and he was admitted to the intensive care unit. Despite the doctor's best efforts, he did not survive. The loss devastated Emma and Lily. Organizing the funeral fell on Emma's shoulders, as Patricia and Alex's father were too grief-stricken to participate. Not even a month after Alex's death, Patricia started making demands. She wanted half of Alex's apartment, claiming that Emma had no right to it, because it had been purchased before their marriage. Patricia accused Emma of living off Alex, and argued that the property should be divided among all the heirs, Alex's father, Lily, and Emma. Feeling cornered, Emma went to a lawyer and discovered that she had more rights than Patricia had realized. She countersued, proving that she and Alex had been in a common-law marriage when she bought the apartment, and that she had contributed financially. The court eventually ruled that the apartment was jointly owned. Although half of the apartment was divided between the heirs, Emma retained her personal share. Patricia, who had expected to claim a significant portion, was left with only a small share. Disappointed but not appeased, she tried to demand regular visits with Lily. Emma refused, claiming that Patricia had never shown any true concern for her granddaughter. Over time, Patricia's relationship with Emma and Lily completely broke down. Emma, though heartbroken, found solace in providing a stable home for herself and her daughter. In the midst of her grief, she discovered an inner strength she didn't even realize she had. Every day she struggled to balance her grief with the need to create a supportive environment for Lily. Memories of Alex's unwavering support became her guiding light, pushing her to restore their dream and create a sense of stability for their daughter even in his absence. She borrowed money from her parents to buy out Patricia's share so they could stay in the apartment. Although Patricia's curses and accusations stayed in her head, Emma decided to move forward, focusing on Lily and the life they could build together. The love and memories she shared with Alex were enough to weather any storm.